Hey everyone, today I want to talk about intellectual property. What does it mean to have copyrights on your design work? Should you give your clients copyrights on your design work? And what to do if somebody steals your idea and uses your design? All right, let's get started talking about the relationship with clients. Should you give them copyrights on your work? Some designers think that they should always own the copyrights to the logo or design that they did. Honestly, I think that when you finish a work and when your client finishes to pay you everything that they own you, they should own the copyrights to their work. You did the work together with them. The work's supposed to serve their company, and the way I see it, also as a business owner, the company should have the IP, intellectual property, of all of its assets. Its logo, its design system, and everything that you did to them, they should own it at the end. If they're not owning it, they actually might end up in a position where maybe they're trying to sell their company or do something and they don't own their own assets. To me, that's kind of crazy. And so I never want to keep the IP of my design work as long as I got paid for it. And so the term I use when I sign a contract with clients is that as long as I'm working on the project and I haven't been paid for it, I own the intellectual property. If something goes wrong, if they end up not paying me, I can do with the logo, with the design, with whatever I did for them, I could reuse it for somebody else, or I can use it on my own project. But if we finish the project and we're still on good terms, which honestly happened to me 100% of the times, with the last payment, I will transfer. I mean, it's just a legal term, but the transfer of the intellectual property goes to them. And so legally, they own the copyrights to their work. I think it's fair, and I think that's the way to do business. I heard that in some countries, maybe in England, I'm not super sure about it, legally the designer gets to keep the copyrights on their work. Again, to me, it doesn't make sense. Even if I'm legally, able to do that, I still think that it's fair. I did the work. It's called, in legal term, work for hire. And so they've hired my services to do work for their company. The work is, I got paid for it, and so the work is the company's. Also, when you are an employee of a company, you sign, usually it's a very legitimate and common term in every employment contract, that every work that you do for the company, they own the IP for it, because again, as I said, a company needs to own its IP or it might end up being a problem later on. Second issue that I want to talk about is when you do your own project. Let's say that you design t-shirts or you just create fun projects. Then you are the copyright owner because the work is yours. And if somebody else steals it, and I've also seen this very common, I've seen that a lot of times on Twitter, where awesome illustrators suddenly see their design appears in fashion stores or just like big fashion brands completely ripping off their ideas. In that case, since they have the copyright to that work, they did it, and probably it's a good idea if you are doing kind of side projects or something like that to have a little tiny line in your website that says work on this website is copyrighted to me. In that case, they have the legal right to sue those big companies, and I've seen that happen, and hopefully they will win because that's just a complete ripoff. That being said, it still happens that some people might randomly get to the same design solution. And I've just seen this the other day on MDS Instagram, which if you're not following him, I'll link in the description. You should follow him and watch his YouTube channel. He designed a logo for one of his clients, and then just randomly turns out that there is another company with the exact same logo. Who owns the copyright to that? In that case, I guess what happened was the one who was there first, legally out with that logo, holds the copyright to that specific design. And so Matt's client actually had to redesign their logo because they were just first using it. But it's very, very common these days that people come up, the amount of cool abstract shapes that you can come up to is pretty limited. Everybody's trying to solve the same problems. And so a lot of time you come up to similar solutions, and there's no really copyright owner of that. It's just who was there first and can actually prove in court that they were there first. All right. Basically, those are my thoughts on how I deal with IP, intellectual property, and copyrights issue. If you have any comments or questions that I forgot to answer in this video, put them in the comments below. I'll try to answer them in the comments. Have a super day. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.